on your side. This is 12 News Today.
Good morning. It's coming up on 3 minutes before 6 o'clock on this Friday, the second day of June. Welcome to 12 News Today. I'm Andrea McDaniel.
And hello, everybody. I'm Gene Lepley. In the headlines this morning, Richmond's Greek Festival is underway. We'll see if the neighbors are happy with some of the changes the church made to this annual event.
Police in Petersburg preparing for a curfew slated to take effect later next month.
And later this half hour, we'll show you some amazing things they are doing with wheelchairs these days.
Those stories and others coming up. First, let's get a check on weather and traffic. Good morning, y'all. In today, huh?
Yes, indeed. Well, she thought it was going to rain. That's what happened. Right. She listened to the weatherman yesterday. How about that? Good news, bad news scenario. Good news, it's not raining this morning. Bad news, that summer forecast, heat, humidity, afternoon thunderstorms. Going to be with us all weekend.
Yeah, it almost felt like last night it got warmer as the night got later. Okay, well, it wasn't my imagination. Another thing that's not your imagination is a real big flood at the corner of Robius and Huguenot. Look out for that. They've actually closed off Robius at that road, so go ahead and avoid that intersection. They'll get it open in about 30 minutes. Otherwise, looking good around the area, Andrea and Jean.
I'd like to hear that. Thanks.
In the news this morning, the annual Greek Festival is officially underway. That's after weeks of controversy. Neighbors around the Greek Orthodox Church in Richmond say one of the summer's biggest parties has simply gotten too big. But residents did work out a deal with festival organizers for this year's event. As Campbell Brown reports, next year's festival, though, is on shaky ground.
Day one of the annual Greek Festival began with food and fun, but how it will end is still up in the air. Residents from the surrounding neighborhood, fed up with wine bottles in their yards and parking problems, had wanted the festival to relocate and even threatened to challenge the event's liquor license.
Just in time for the festival to go on as planned, both sides reached an agreement. With a little prompting from city officials, neighborhood residents dropped their challenge to the festival's ABC license.
In return, the church agreed to a few changes. This year, wine bottles are being sold minus the cork to discourage people from leaving with their bottles. The streets around the cathedral are closed to all but residents, and extra police are on duty. It's all paid for by the church to appease the neighborhood.
We feel like the church is part of our festival. We want it to remain a part of our festival, but we don't want to be a nuisance to anyone.
Neighbors near the church say so far there's a noticeable improvement, but it's coming at the expense of others.
I'm afraid that what has been very good for us is probably being an imposition to neighbors who up to this point haven't been imposed upon.
Hanover Street, a couple of blocks away, has become the new parking lot for festival goers, and residents there are waiting to see what the weekend will bring.
I mean, it's a little bit of an invasion of privacy, but it's still nice. It's a beautiful area, and I'm glad that we get to share it.
My hope is that this will be the last year that this event is held locally.
In past years, the Greek Festival has attracted over 60,000 people during its 4-day run. What happens next year will depend on how things go Friday and Saturday nights when the big crowds are expected. In Richmond, Campbell Brown, Channel 12 News.
Now, the church and the neighborhoods are planning to meet once the festival ends to talk about next year, the event, and what changes need to be made.
The cause of that explosion at the University of Richmond is still a mystery this morning. The blast destroyed a laundromat and an adjacent apartment. Authorities believe a propane gas leak inside the laundromat caused the explosion, but they say they still don't know what ignited the gas.
That's what we're trying to determine now. There's so much equipment in there, the drink machines and other equipment that could have set it off. We're trying to figure out which may have cut on or cut off, and also trying to determine where the leak may have come from.
A university spokesman says other gas dryers and propane lines are being checked for leaks, but so far, no other leaks have been found.
In Charlottesville, actor Christopher Reeve is scheduled for surgery next week to stabilize his spine. The 42-year-old Reeve remains paralyzed in UVA hospital and must have mechanical help even to breathe. The star of the movie Superman damaged his spinal cord in a fall from a horse last weekend.
In Blacksburg, the driver of a school bus filled with students has been charged with drunken driving. This comes after she crashed into the rear of another bus while leaving a Blacksburg middle school yesterday. No one was injured, but 39-year-old Patricia Hall Wilson was also charged with transporting an alcoholic beverage on a school bus and possession of an alcoholic beverage on school grounds. The driver was being held in the Montgomery County Jail in lieu of $3,000 bond.
Petersburg is getting ready to crack down on juvenile crime. The city's solution is a new curfew that goes into effect after July 30th. Police are gearing up to enforce the new restrictions, which are designed to get juveniles off the street by 11 p.m. The new tougher curfew applies to anyone under the age of 18. The city's present curfew only applies to youths under the age of 16.
Those kids who are unsupervised, we want them to be home, we want them to be safe, we don't want them to be victims of any perpetrators, and we don't want them to get themselves into trouble because they're in an unsupervised environment.
Petersburg police say they spend more and more time dealing with juvenile crime. It ranges from vandalism, breaking and entering, to theft.
The man shot by a Secret Service agent after climbing the White House fence has been ordered to a federal hospital where doctors can determine if he's mentally competent to stand trial. This comes after a federal magistrate declined a request from Leland Majeski's attorneys that he be able to commit himself to a private mental hospital. Instead, the magistrate ordered Majeski to a Washington psychiatric facility until space becomes available at a federal mental facility. The man who climbed a fence at Madonna's mansion has pleaded innocent to both stalking the pop singer and threatening to kill her. Robert Hoskins entered the pleas in Los Angeles Municipal Court. The 37-year-old was shot and wounded by a guard after a struggle earlier this week. A detective says Hoskins, who insisted he was Madonna's husband, took a dip in Madonna's pool while a guard called for help.
Also in Los Angeles, there could be more changes coming in the O.J. Simpson jury. Judge Lance Ito and attorneys discussed allegations of juror misconduct yesterday, and media reports say 3 panelists in all are now under scrutiny. Simpson attorney Johnny Cochran says he expects a resolution to that problem later today.
Talks between Norfolk and Virginia Beach over the proposed Lake Gaston water pipeline are running into some more problems. Virginia Beach and North Carolina have signed a deal to end years of legal wrangling over the pipeline, but because it requires the approval of Virginia lawmakers, officials have been trying to reach a compromise to compensate Norfolk if it can't find a buyer for the water it now sells to Virginia Beach. So far, no agreement's been reached, and that raises doubts about the meeting June 27th, meeting that deadline for legislative action on the deal.
And finally, they're cheering in Houston this morning. That's because the Houston Rockets will be defending their league championship in the NBA Finals again this year. The Rockets beat the San Antonio Spurs last night 195 to take the Western Conference Series 4-2. Hakeem Olajuwon scored 39 points, pulled down 17 rebounds, and blocked 5 shots. He was a power. We're going to see a few more highlights a little later in sports.
All right. Up next, though, a check on weather and traffic to get your Friday going this morning.
And the spelling bee. It's over in Washington. We'll tell you who won and how one Richmond area student did. Next.
Nobody makes your home beautiful like ducks in a row. During our Memorial Day sale, you'll save on designer fashions for your entire home. Shop today for savings on Waverly toppers in dozens of designer fabrics, all value priced at $26.50. Save 25% off Waverly bedroom ensembles, fabrics, and wallpapers. Save 30% off selected in-stock bedding, window treatments, and accessories. Nobody can decorate your home like ducks in a row. 8501 Midlothian Turnpike at the Powhite Parkway.
Hi, I'm Rick Stanley, Rick Stanley's Auto Body. You know, today's cars are very complex with onboard computers, airbags, and high-tech paint finishes. If you've been in an accident, you need professionals that are industry certified in every aspect of the repair. Professionals that are recognized for quality collision repair by major insurance companies. In my shop, we don't offer legal advice. We stick to what we know, collision repair.
Please have one. You should try these. You really should.
Some things are too good to keep to yourself, like Quaker rice cakes.
Hey, it tastes good. It's sweet. I like it. I love that caramel one. Caramel? I'm in trouble. Whoa, major crunch going on here. Try it. Try any one of the flavors. So if you feel like you're snacking. Fat, 0 grams. 0.
Fat-free Quaker rice cakes. Some things are too good to keep to yourself.
They're very good.
After 25 years comes the triumphant return of one of the theater's most powerful events. It's a spiritual experience that will move you, a musical experience you'll never forget. It's the greatest story ever told. Jesus Christ Superstar, the show that rocked the world, featuring the magnificent music of Andrew Lloyd Webber and the haunting lyrics of Tim Rice. Starring from the original cast,
Ted Neely as Jesus. 1 week only, June 6th through the 11th at the Carpenter Center. Tickets on sale now.
Music, dancing, arts, crafts, and much more. Free fun for the whole family at the Family Jubilee. Valentine Riverside, Saturday, June 10th. Call 643-2826 for information.
6 minutes past 6 o'clock. President Clinton says the crisis in Bosnia can't be resolved using military might. He told a televised town hall meeting in Montana last night that sending U.S. troops into Bosnia, quote, would get a lot of Americans killed, but with no assurance of peace. The president also fielded a wide range of questions ranging from assault weapons ban to the NRA.
A letter in which they call federal officials jackbooted thugs, as you know, but the other part of the letter accused me of encouraging federal officials to commit murder. And I just think that's wrong.
About 50 people were selected to participate in the televised meeting.
In Washington, the National Rifle Association says it is facing some financial problems. In a fundraising letter, the organization's executive vice president says the NHRA needs to raise money quickly or it will have to cut programs. This plea follows short on the heels of the letter that the NHRA claimed was a record-breaking moneymaker. That letter, which referred to federal agents as jackbooted government thugs, prompted former President Bush to cancel his lifetime membership in the NRA.
Also in Washington, a winner's been named in the 68th Annual National Spelling Bee, but it's not the Richmond area entry. Chester's Matt Fitzgerald did well over the two-day contest, but he lost out yesterday over the spelling of the word phonesthenia.
Phonesthenia. F-O-N-E-S-T-H-I-E-N-A. Phonesthenia. I just guessed at it. There was nothing else to do. I asked her everything I think. I mean, there was nothing else could have really helped if you have no idea whatsoever.
Now, we tried to find the word in the dictionary, and it wasn't even in our Webster's. But
What about that?
Yeah, Matt's in the 7th grade. He can try again next year. By the way, this year's champ, 14-year-old Justin Tyler Carroll of Arkansas.
All right. Jason, how do you spell rain or precipitation?
I don't know, but I just guess at it. You know, he's in line to be a weatherman before too long. How do you like that? Good job there. I tell you what, the weather didn't quite pan out as we had expected this morning, but I don't think too many people will be complaining as the rains that did not move in this area did slide up through the higher elevations out west. And they're even contemplating posting some flash flood watches for the western parts of the Commonwealth. So fortunately, things are a little better around here. But it's hot, it's humid, and it does look like a few thunderstorms will be in our future. We could get thunderstorms this afternoon. We could get thunderstorms tomorrow afternoon, and it goes on and on from there. Today is the 2nd day of June, and it's starting to feel like it. 67 degrees outside at this moment, 93% humidity, pressure 30.10 inches, winds now out of the south at 7 miles an hour. Check the rain gauge. No rain there. Sunrise back at 5:50. We've passed that mark. Sun's going to be up and about until 8:25 later this afternoon. 67 degrees here. In contrast to that, we checked temperature readings elsewhere across the mid-Atlantic states, and this is what we're finding. 65 degrees now at Roanoke, 62 Charleston, 68 the nation's capital. And in general, temperatures are fairly uniform across the mid-Atlantic states. We are looking at occasional cloud cover as well. Now, the storm that's responsible for all of this is in the upper atmosphere. It came out of the southwest, now spinning around parts of Iowa, but it's beginning to lose its definition. What has happened now, a big area of high pressure out over the Atlantic Ocean, you see the clear skies here, is preventing this thing from continuing on towards the east. Therefore, it's beginning to kind of fall apart, but it's not falling apart until after all the heat and humidity engulf parts of Virginia. So with a hot and humid air mass, all it's going to take is the warmth of the afternoon to start triggering some of those thunderstorms. Now, we can't pinpoint exactly where they will occur, but we do know they typically have a lifespan 30, 45 minutes to an hour and then kind of fade away and move on out. This morning, most of the storms are back near the storm center across the Midwest. A couple of scattered showers in the mountainous areas of Virginia. We'll watch the radars, though. They'll get hot, I think, by this afternoon. So our forecast, a little improved, but not much. Partly sunny. 86 degrees with scattered thunderstorms this afternoon. Likelihood of getting wet at any given location, about 30%. For tonight, scattered thunderstorms through about midnight, then muggy with a low of only 70, and we do it all again tomorrow. Wow, look at that, 89 degrees. Hot and humid, summer-like weather. Right on through the weekend. Yvonne, you mentioned something about a flood. I'm kind of curious as to how that could be since we haven't had the rain. Any answers?
It might have been a misused word, Jason, or at least a little exaggerated. This report is brought to you by your local Ford dealer, but indeed it may look like that at the corner of Robius and Huguenot at this moment because a water main broke, and Chesterfield police are still on the scene. I think they're cleaning it up pretty quickly, but they still have at least one lane closed in that area, so you may want to back it up on Huguenot and take the Chippenham in or even Buford into Midlothian Turnpike, but it's going to cause you a little bit bit of a delay. We're going to keep you up to date as we advance towards the rush hour. We have some boards, so you know what we're keeping an eye on for you. I-95 at Sliding Hill Road. Clear right now, no problems. Construction is still in place, and there was a problem yesterday with an overturned vehicle, so we have to remember that's a hazardous area. I-64 and Gaskins Road looking very good right now, and the new construction continues on Route 1 between Old Mountain Road and I-295 and Courtney Road between Mountain and Lake Roads, and we'll let you know if that's going to continue through next week. And we'll take a look at travelers traffic in our next report, Andrea and Jean.
All right. Thank you. Coming up next on 12 News, we've got business news and sports highlights. Finally, a home win for the Rockets.
Can you believe it? They saved the best for last, and it means Houston now moves on. San Antonio sits out once again. We'll show you the action in just a moment.
People stopping by. There's a new gasoline.
What's new about it?
With the power to drive down maintenance costs.
Really? Are you serious?
Yes, we are. New Exxon 93 Supreme keeps your engine cleaner.
Clean is good.
So it can help drive down maintenance costs.
Could gas do that?
New Exxon 93 Supreme can, with the power to drive down maintenance costs.
Gas that can save you money.
For more reliable performance.
Okay, I'll try it.
People stopping by to rely on the Tiger.
The Virginia Lottery now has 2 new games out, Bonus Bingo and High Roller.
It's a lottery ticket. Pick one.
The Leggett Community Showcase. Leggett is proud to present a preview of upcoming Richmond events for you and your family.
A fundraising party for Valentine Riverside, live bands, a sound and light show, and more this Saturday. Savor strawberry treats at the Ashland Strawberry Fair with arts and crafts and entertainment Saturday at Randolph-Macon College. Golf lovers don't miss the Nike Dominion Open. The up-and-coming PGA golfers hit the links at the Dominion Club Thursday through Sunday.
This has been the Leggett Community Showcase.
12 News, first at 5. Now the only news at 5.
Minutes past 6 o'clock. In financial news, London and Tokyo stocks are higher today. Here at home, after spending most of the session in minus territory, the Dow advanced late to close up over 7.5 points for another record. The S&P was slightly higher for a record close. The Nasdaq gained about 4. Bonds were way up, another rally in the 10 years. The economy looks to be slowing much faster than many thought it would, and the prospect of inflation is low. Investors, though, will be looking for a major piece of news today. The Labor Department reports how many Americans were unemployed last month, plus how many new jobs were added to the payrolls. Economists expect the unemployment rate to slip to 5.7% with 162,000 new jobs added. Some good news for home buyers. Mortgage rates have dropped to their lowest levels in 15 months. The average 30-year fixed-rate mortgage dropped to 7.71%. That's the lowest level since February 1994. But home buyers aren't responding. Both new and existing home sales are down 14% in the first 4 months of this year compared to the same period a year ago. Kmart says it is closing 72 stores and cutting 5,800 jobs. The news is not unexpected. The discount chain has been plagued by lagging sales and profits. None of the closings will come in Virginia. Sales for cars and trucks are down. Chrysler down 3% from a year ago. GM says its sales are off 5.7% from this time last year. Ford did not report. Now, retail sales did okay, with some apparel stores saying things are beginning to pick up. Locally, same-store sales show S&K was up 2% in May. Best Products, though, down 4.2%. Walmart was up 5.6%. Kmart up 4.3%. And finally, Allied Signal, which has a presence here, is buying a German maker of nylon plastics and fibers. The New Jersey-based chemical concern says it will invest about $140 million in the facility. The money will go for upgrading the plant in eastern Germany, expanding capacity, and building a research center. Our financial analyst, Randy Koss, will have more business news in our next half hour. But we have a winner, huh?
We have the story of the Rockets. They're taking off in postseason play after a lackluster regular season. So one half of the matchup for the NBA Finals is set, and it's back to the finals for the Rockets and their fans. Hakeem Olajuwon turning in another dominant performance last night, scoring 39 points in all, along with 17 rebounds and 5 blocked shots against San Antonio. What's this one? Yes, the alley-oop drops it in. But it took Robert Horry's 6th three-pointer of the night to give the Rockets the lead for good with just under 2 minutes to go. And Houston goes on to a 195 victory. They win the series 4-2 for a second straight trip to the NBA Finals. In hockey now, the Red Wings and Blackhawks began their 7-game Western Conference Final. There the gentleman talking about their Clyde Drexler, saying how happy he is to be moving on. Well, most valuable player, David Robinson, saying, let's wait till next year. I wonder if Dennis Rodman will be around to help out. Now, moving on to hockey. Detroit's Keith Primo tied the game at 1 with a second-period goal here, and he basically flicks it past Chicago's Ed Balfour. Can you believe it? Just so easy. That brought out the Red Wings' unofficial underwater mascot. That's a big one. They're usually smaller when they toss them on the ice. The game wound up going into overtime, but Nicholas Lindstrom ended it quickly, scoring barely a minute in. Detroit taking the game 2-1. Moving on to baseball. Can you believe it? The Cleveland Indians have the best record in the American League at 22-9. It's their best start since 1966. Paul Sorrento's homer here helps Cleveland polish off a 4-game sweep of Chicago on Thursday. I don't think that's happened since the turn of the century. Eddie Murray also homered to pull within 30 hits of 3,000. Cleveland thumping the White Sox 7-4. In Texas, Kenny Rogers also sizzling. He won his 6th straight game Thursday, and in the process ran his string of scoreless innings to 39, breaking the team record of 36. Benji Gill providing some great defense. Otis Nixon also turning in some nifty glove work as Texas beats Minnesota 6-3. Look at that catch. Nice center field. That's it for American League action. In the National League, Chicago fell to the Phillies. The Expos beat Chicago. It was Los Angeles, a 6-3 winner over Atlanta, and the Pirates topping the Reds 5-3. Now, if you're a fan of drag racing, Dinwiddie's the place to be this weekend. The inaugural Virginia's for Lovers National continues today down at Virginia Motorsports Park. Some of the biggest names in drag racing are also in town for the race. There are a couple of area drivers in the alcohol funny car division. Chester's Bob Martindale is competing in his first NHRA national event. He's going to have a lot of fans and won't have too far to drive to see him race.
The reason we're doing this is with we're doing some activities with Mothers Against Drunk Driving, and that's why you get the Mad Dash on there. Mad Dash. So hopefully we'll have them down here, and we're focusing on designated driving and see if we can't get some people to be a little bit more conscientious about that. But actually the race and being here is just icing on the cake for us.
Hanover Scott Weiss is a 10-year veteran of the sport. The last 5 spent behind the wheel of an alcohol-powered funny car.
We've been looking for a place like this in town for right many years, and we don't have an event like this in Virginia. We've been racing for 10 years or so, and it's nice to run within an hour of home.
Now, the gates open this morning at 9 a.m. Pro qualifying starts at 4. It'll run till about 8 o'clock tonight. And, of course, there's more racing on Saturday and again on Sunday as well. Bring your earplugs. It's loud.
Is it?
Oh, man.
And that's in Dinwiddie County, right?
Yeah.
Sounds like
Virginia
fun.
Motorsports Park, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Still to come, a check on your weekend weather forecast plus traffic with Yvonne. And
we've got health news as well. We'll take you inside a wheelchair laboratory to show you some of the latest inventions. Stay with us.
Winn-Dixie's going all out, gonna save you more.
Hurry in for our lowest price in years on WD brand U.S. Choice whole boneless sirloin tip. Just $1.28 a pound, sliced free. And see the beef people for more delicious savings on WD brand U.S. Choice boneless sirloin tip roast. It's aged for tenderness and only $1.58 a pound.
Winn-Dixie going all out for the great outdoors.
For love, I want them out of here. He defied the world.
The Scottish rebel.
For revenge,
He fights to avenge a woman?
he went to war.
We cannot defeat this army. We can't.
For what he lost, he would never find peace.
They may take our lives,
For what he won,
but they'll never take our freedom.
he would never be forgotten.
Every man dies. Not every man really lives.
Braveheart, rated R. Now playing at theaters everywhere.
Johnny Bench for S&K.
S&K has offered fine quality menswear since before they were even born. Today's selection includes suits at 2 for $200, 2 for $300, and none higher than 2 for $500, plus handsome sport coats and Pierre Cardin dress shirts. Menswear value for 28 years. Start your own tradition at S&K.
6 area locations in Richmond, Colonial Heights, Charlottesville, and Fredericksburg.
Join us for the Children's Miracle Network broadcast and expect a miracle this weekend.
It is 21 minutes past 6 o'clock. Looks like some haze out there on this lazy Friday morning. Kind of warm out there, too.
Yes, it is warm and hazy, and that's something we'll have to get used to. You know, they're issuing the ozone forecast now for the area, which ground-based ozone's a little different from the stuff up in the upper atmosphere. It's what kind of contributes to the buildup of smog. Today, the forecast is for low to moderate levels, but I think that ozone advisory may have to be hoisted with the warm temperatures that we're expecting around here the next few days. And, of course, it's also, in particular, important to those who suffer from problems such as asthma. So it looks like Mother Nature is not going to be real kind to us. We're not getting the rain this morning, but we're going to continue with the threat for scattered thunderstorms this afternoon and tonight. Look at these temperatures. Mid-80s today, only 70 for a low tonight. And then tomorrow, upper 80s, close to 90 degrees with humidity. That's going to push the heat index way up into the upper 90s. We might actually look for a couple of scattered storms in the afternoon to try and cool things off. And it is indeed nice and toasty out there. This morning, we're about 10 degrees warmer than we were yesterday. 67 degrees the current reading, and humidity level way up at 93%. You see the clouds around the country. Once again, clouds streaming off the Gulf of Mexico, heading north throughout the east, and then wrapping around a storm that is now beginning to stall and kind of fade away over parts of the upper Mississippi River Valley. Now, the importance of this storm fading away is that we're going to continue to supply ample amounts of moisture to the east, so often on clouds, and that is also going to help fuel some of the afternoon thunderstorms. Now, it's obviously not afternoon and early morning. We still have some thunderstorms closer to the storm itself. As you look along the eastern seaboard, early morning travel is okay because we don't have that much rain to talk about. But I do believe that late afternoon travel could be a totally different story. So if you are going to be traveling around the area, getting a head start on your weekend, travels will be okay in the morning, but afternoon, watch out. 1 or 2 heavy thunderstorms can most definitely be possible around here. You're making weekend plans for home? Well, here's my 5-day forecast I'll share with you. And, well, it's kind of redundant, isn't it? Scattered showers and thunderstorms in the afternoon. Primarily, these will occur between 3 and 10 p.m. Otherwise, just hot and humid temperatures staying in the 80s throughout the week. Not a pretty pleasant picture, or not a very pleasant picture, that is, from the weather respects. How about traffic this morning, Yvonne?
Well, we're not doing too badly out there, Jason, as this report is brought to you by your local Ford dealer. One problem at the corner of Robius and Huguenot, a little dyslexic this morning, and that's because of a water main break. I think they do have one lane open now, but you may want to avoid that area. Let's look at the travelers traffic now, going up to the north to Washington, D.C. You're looking very good. Don't forget about the construction. Once again, I know this sounds like a broken record, but I'd rather do that than to leave you without warning, and that's at Sliding Hill Road. Otherwise, very nice up there. They're keeping that Route 1 ramp onto I-95 in both directions open during the rush hour. We had a problem there last week. Traffic advisory on the Coleman Bridge. Just remember, lots of construction on the Gloucester County side of the bridge and on the York County side, but no specific problems this morning. I-64 going down to the Tidewater area, no problems. And we checked over to the west for you, and that's also looking very good right now. Don't forget, if you're traveling on I-295 this morning, as you make your way up between on the east side between Airport Drive and I-64, you do have one lane closed southbound. Andrea and Jean.
All right, thanks a lot.
Thanks. In health headlines this morning, long-term smoking can radically increase a woman's risk of breast cancer. That's the latest from a Danish study that was just released this week. Researchers interviewed more than 3,200 women attending a mammography clinic, and they found the rate of breast cancer was 60% higher among those who smoked for more than 30 years compared to non-smokers. Now, those who smoked between 1 and 20 years, on the other hand, had about the same breast cancer rate as those non-smokers.
In our HealthCast this morning, it's helping experts design better wheelchairs. It's called the Smart Wheel, and Kurt Autry explains.
Using a manual wheelchair can be tough on the body, especially the upper extremities. Injuries to the wrists and shoulders are common.
Like carpal tunnel syndrome or rotator cuff tendonitis or rotator cuff tears, which are basically shoulder injuries.
But this device, called the Smart Wheel, is helping engineers design better wheelchairs to minimize injury. Dr. Rory Cooper of the University of Pittsburgh Medical Center pioneered the Smart Wheel project. With this information, we will really be able to have a much better understanding of how the person needs to be fitted to the wheelchair and, in many cases, how the wheelchair needs to be designed. This graduate student demonstrates how the Smart Wheel works. Reflective markers are placed on his hand, wrist, elbow, and shoulder. The Smart Wheel is mounted on the wheelchair. Video cameras track the motion of the arms. The smart wheel measures various forces exerted on the rim, and then computers analyze the information.
This then gives us an idea of whether if the person has an injury, if they're pushing differently than somebody who doesn't have an injury.
Dr. Cooper says he hopes the smart wheel will be used in specialized clinics across the country to help build guidelines for wheelchair design.
It's revolutionized the study of wheelchairs, and it's brought out a whole new direction of looking at wheelchair design.
Kurt Autry, Channel 12 News.
For more information about this topic, please send a self-addressed stamped envelope to HealthCast, P.O. Box 12, Richmond, Virginia 23201.
And coming up in our next half hour, we've got lots more for you. We've got the morning's top stories and weather and traffic,
as well as sports and business, and we'll get a live preview of a special benefit concert to help those affected by the fire at Old Buckingham Station. Stay with us.